It is Dade here, Dade Burns to be exact. So today we're going to be interviewing, or I'm interviewing an RCMP officer for my Capstone project. I asked, what made you want to become an RCMP officer or a police officer in general?
So I've always had a bit of a calling to serve my community and my country. And that's why I wanted to be a police officer, is that I could help, and why I wanted to join the RCMP specifically, because they're Canada's national police force.
And how did your family and friends feel about you becoming an RCMP officer?
Well, my wife was very surprised. We were married a few months, and I said, honey, I'm joining the RCMP, which she hadn't expected. But she's very supportive. So
that's good.
Took about 1.5 years for me to go from deciding I was going to do it and going to an information session to writing an exam, doing the interviews, waiting for them to tell me that I have a spot in depot. So it was a long process to get in, but yeah, all my family were very supportive.
What was the hardest part about being in the academy?
Being away from my family for me. So when I went to depot, which is what we call our training academy in the RCMP, I had to go to Regina in Saskatchewan for 6 months. And Allison and I had just had a baby 4 months before I left. So I left Allison back here in the Comox Valley, and I went to training for 6 months, and really was there longer than I had known my son by the time I finished. So
wow. Do you ever wish you'd chosen a different job instead of an RCMP officer?
I've been a police officer now for almost 21 years. It'll be 21 years in May.
That's a long time.
I've really enjoyed it. Like, it's been such a rewarding career. I get to do all kinds of different things. And like I say, it's stressful when you don't know what you're going to do tomorrow, but it's also exciting to know that tomorrow's not going to be the same as yesterday. Me specifically is I'm a tactical flight officer. So only part-time, unfortunately. I'd like to do it full-time. What it means is I go up in our helicopter and I watch for bad guys, basically. If something happens,
so cool.
Car takes off from the police on the ground. If I'm in the helicopter, I can use a camera and our forward-looking infrared, and I can, track that car, and we follow it, letting the police on the ground know where the car has gone. Not many people get to do it. I think I know there's only 2 of us on Vancouver Island right now.
Next question. What is the hardest part about being an RCMP officer?
There's lots of things that we have to deal with potentially every day, and we don't know what it's going to be. So there are calls that you can prepare yourself for, but it's when you don't know what the call is going to be, and you just have to go there and deal with it when it's in front of you. We could go to a barking dog complaint or somebody who's having the worst day of their life. So and you have to just control the situation and make sure that they make it through it. So traffic stops are some of the most dangerous things that we do, and it's something that we do all the time. You think, well, I'll go and pull that guy over. Who's in the car? Really bad guy, or a grandma who just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, and they always do the little hand touch on the trunk too, I noticed.
Yep. Do you know why?
Isn't it so it puts their fingerprints, so if the car runs away, they have
Yeah, so if something happens, if we're injured, or heaven forbid somebody gets, the police officer gets killed, if your thumbprint is on the back of that car, that's evidence that that police officer dealt with that car.
How does it feel to arrest somebody if you have arrested somebody?
I've arrested a lot of people. yeah, it feels pretty cool, especially when you know you've just caught them doing something and you're making a difference and you're, stopping them from hurting somebody. It's
Right.
a pretty cool experience. So, but it's also very serious, right?
Mhm.
Like, so nobody else in Canada other than the police really have the ability to take away someone's freedom.
Right.
So everyone in Canada has the right to be free. It's in our Charter of Rights. But the police are able to suspend people's rights to be free by taking them into custody.
What is the worst thing about your job?
Mhm. So the worst thing I think about my job is having to tell people that their loved ones have died. That's one of the toughest parts of my job. Um, it gets really emotional. People are obviously very upset when people die,
Right.
but it is an important part of the job because otherwise, people find out through social media, and it becomes even more upsetting when they find out that way. So we often have to go and we call it a next of kin notification, where we go and tell people that their loved ones have passed away.
Advice you would give to someone wanting to join or become an RCMP officer?
The best advice really is study. Like, do well in school, study hard. I find probably the thing that helps the most at my level of service is English skills. So most of the time I spend writing about things that I've seen or done. And so if you can communicate what you've seen and or done and put it on paper, like,
right,
obviously electronically because we type everything now, but that would be a very good skill to have. And exercising and all of that stuff, it was really important at our training academy.
Right.
And it's important in the field too. You want to stay healthy and make sure that you can do the job well.